While AMD's PC business is going through a deep slump according to their latest earnings report, with a drop of 65% in sales last quarter, the gaming segment, which basically means the consoles remain stable, and the embedded segment is seeing massive growth thanks to the Xilinx acquisition. But it's in semi-custom APUs that things are looking very bright for AMD. The company's plan to create a Voltron chip has finally materialized, and a whole new profitable market has emerged in the form of gaming PC handhelds. With the new gen PC components soaring in prices, APUs could be the way to go for many gamers, and they could even impact other future AMD products. Today's video is sponsored by Urcdkeys.com. If you buy a retail Windows 10 key, you could spend $100 or more. But if you buy an OEM key from Urcdkeys.com, a Windows 10 Pro key will cost you only $15 when you use the coupon code C25. The keys work globally, and you can even get a free upgrade from Microsoft to Windows 11 if you wish. After you've made your purchase, you will find your key in your purchased orders in the Urcdkeys website. Click on Get Keys and copy the key. Then in Windows, click on Start and type Activate, and then on Activation Settings. Then click Change Product Key, pasting the key you just purchased, and click Next. That's it. Your copy of Windows is now activated. If you want Office 2021 Professional, you can use the same C25 discount code and get it for just $60. Urcdkeys is also having a spring sale with some cool affordable mechanical keyboards, gaming mice, and even chairs. A big thanks to Urcdkeys.com for sponsoring today's video. Check the links in the video description to get your cheap OEM Windows keys today. While Asus isn't getting much love from the PC enthusiast community right now, thanks to some drama that I won't get into, they have nonetheless released probably one of the most exciting products of the year, the ROG Ally. The Steam Deck rival features the new Ryzen Z1 processor, which comes in two flavors, the regular and the extreme. The Z1 features 6 Zen 4 cores and 12 threads with 16 MB of L3 cache and clocks up to 4.9 GHz and can be configured to run it between 3 watts and 30 watts. The onboard graphics are RDNA 3 based and feature 4 compute units. The Extreme features a whopping 8 Zen 4 cores and 16 threads, 16 MB of L3, and clocks up to 5.1 GHz with the same TDP of up to 30 watts, although you can manually set it to 35 watts for some extra performance. On the graphics front, it features 12 compute units. These are really incredible specs for such a low wattage chip. Noticeably absent compared to the 7040 mobile chips are the AI engines. While unplugged, the Ally performs just a bit ahead of the Zen 2 based Steam Deck overall, in gaming at least. When you plug the Ally instead of running off of the battery, you get around 40% more performance on average than the Steam Deck, and it's the plugged-in mode that I find interesting because of the applications for these APUs outside of the handheld space. If we compare the Z1 Extreme to a discrete GPU, it performs around the same as a GTX 1050 Ti, which doesn't sound that impressive on its own, except for the fact that we're living in very different times than when the 1050 Ti was the 1080p budget go-to. The Z1 Extreme is coming out at a time when FSR and super resolution upscaling allow for gaming at 60 FPS or higher with few concessions, even in demanding games like Cyberpunk, which runs at 55 FPS average in its Steam Deck graphics preset. In addition to FSR, which is available in many games, RSR, which you can enable for any game, AMD has recently published a patent for a form of upscaling similar to DLSS, simply called Gaming Super Resolution. This implementation hints at the next generation of FSR, using a deep learning-based upscaling network to reconstruct frames at a higher resolution than the original image. Depending on what size of monitor you are using to game, you might not be able to tell the difference between native and upscaled. Playing on a large OLED, I imagine upscaling will never beat native resolution in terms of quality, sharpness, and smoothness, at least from my own testing of FSR and DLSS. But at the prices that GPUs capable of running AAA games at native resolution are being sold at, I think a minor downgrade to the image quality can be acceptable. In the case of the Ally, you have the option of later buying an adapter that lets you plug in a proprietary discrete GPU, so down the line you can always increase the graphics capability of the device when docked. You get the best of of both worlds, a powerful handheld device that can double as your desktop PC. YouTuber ETA Prime tested the XG Mobile eGPU adapter when paired with the eGPU version of the RX 6850M was running God of War at 1080p ultra settings at 74 FPS on average. With FSR, you could easily do over 60 at 4K, and Forza Horizon 5 at 4K Ultra ran at around 80 FPS average. The RTX 4090 is also available as an eGPU if you want to go overkill. In addition to that, the eGPU comes with 4 USB ports, DisplayPort, and HDMI 2.1 port so you can connect this to an OLED at 4K 120Hz, and a network adapter. Like I said, this setup lets you have both a portable Windows handheld and a desktop PC when you come home and dock it and plug it into your TV or monitor. So this is really all most people would need as a PC. But there are other interesting options on the horizon if you don't care for the handheld. Minis Forum has just teased their most powerful mini PCs to date, the Venus UM780 and 790. These also use AMD's Phoenix APUs, so that's the same 7040 series as the Ally, but not as restrained when it comes to power, with up to a 7940HS with 8 cores and 16 threads at 5.2 GHz, and the RDNA 3-based 780M iGPU. The 780M can run Forza Horizon 5 at 720p high at 67 FPS on average, or 53 FPS on average at 1080p high. It can even do ray tracing, pushing out 57 FPS on average at 720p. With FSR, it can run Horizon Zero Dawn at 1080p high at around 55 FPS on average, or Doom Eternal at 1080p native at 70 FPS on average. You can drive up to 4 displays simultaneously with this mini PC, so you can use it as a productivity machine also. There's even AV1 support if you're a video editor or streamer. These start at just $550 for the base model. To me, this looks like an ideal way to get into PC gaming without having to spend a fortune on expensive components, while still having the option to add a discrete GPU later when needed. Yes, you have to tinker with upscaling, but that's a small price to pay, and upscaling technology will only get better with time. By the way, Minis Forum also teased a ridiculously tiny PC, which looks to be about half the length of a mobile phone, called the Mercury, which will feature a 7840U APU from AMD. So AMD has created a whole new market for itself, and no one else is competing. Windows-based handhelds and the Steam Deck all feature AMD APUs, and these mini PCs are giving Intel NUCs a run for their money, especially when it comes to price to performance. I also find it interesting that according to industry sources, AMD is shifting some of their 4nm products to Samsung, who have finally sorted out their yield issues, at least to some extent. It's worth noting that Samsung also has its own 3D stacking IP called X-Cube, so while Nvidia seems to be maxing out TSMC's CoWoS capacity, it could be the case that AMD's partnership with Samsung extends beyond the monolithic APUs. Perhaps 3D stacked APUs could be coming sooner than expected. Stacking SRAM on top of these APUs would decrease latency and allow for more die area for more graphics compute units, for instance, and overall performance would increase significantly. Now, what does the future hold for AMD's CPUs? In a recent interview with Tom's Hardware, AMD's Mark Papermaster had the following to say: but what you'll see also is more variations of the cores themselves. You'll see high-performance cores mixed with power-efficient cores mixed with acceleration. So where we're moving to now is not just variations in core density, but variations in the type of core and how you configure the cores. It's not only how you've optimized for either performance or energy efficiency, but stacked cache for applications that can take advantage of it, and accelerators that you put around it. So basically what AMD will be doing in the next versions of Ryzen, and that will probably include the APUs, is create hybrid core mixes like we see today with Intel's core chips, with performance cores and efficiency cores, and in addition to that, more accelerators and stacked memory. If APUs move to a hybrid design, that could translate to more die area for better graphics capabilities, so APUs will only get better and more flexible going forward. For now, it's great to see a slew of interesting portable Windows-based machines that compete with the Steam Deck as well as mini PCs, and I think they are a solid alternative to owning a full-on PC. I've reviewed Minis Forum PCs in the past, so if you'd like me to take a look at these upcoming mini PCs, let me know down in the comments. This video was made possible by my awesome patrons. By supporting my channel on Patreon, you will gain access to the Cortex Discord server, where you can talk to me directly and join a welcoming community of tech enthusiasts. If you can't contribute at this time, then give this video a like and share it, as that really helps. Thanks for watching, and until the next one.